On this episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly TV, we take a look at the Everdrive 64 version 3 for the Nintendo 64. The Everdrive 64 is the latest product in the Everdrive line for the Nintendo 64. As is the case with all Everdrive products, this allows you to load games directly off of an SD card, meaning you can play ROMs without resorting to emulation. While the Nintendo 64's library is larger in terms of megabytes of data than that of 8 or 16-bit consoles, you can still fit the 64's entire library onto one 8GB SD card, while still leaving plenty of room for homebrew games and ROM hacks. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly say two things. First, please buy this product directly from the guy who creates them at shop.crix.com. I'll put a link in the video description. Secondly, there are actually knockoffs of this product floating around in the market. Someone literally stole the design of the Everdrive 64 and is using it to create low-quality clones, so please don't waste your money or encourage this kind of behavior by supporting it. Now let's take a quick look at the Everdrive 64 and how it works. When you set up your Everdrive 64 for the first time, you'll have to download the OS from the manufacturer's website and unzip it into the root directory of your SD card. You then just copy the ROMs over to the SD card and organize them any way you like. When you turn on your Nintendo 64 and the Everdrive boots up, you're presented with a list of the contents of the SD card, and you simply load up whatever game you want to play.
Welcome to Clyde's Bridge.
3, 2, 1, go!
You can even play some NES games using an emulator that's built into the Everdrive OS. Speaking of ROM hacks, the cartridge has the ability to apply patches to ROMs so that you can just place the IPS file on your SD card along with the game ROM and select the appropriate menu option. Here I'm playing the F-Zero X 10th Anniversary patch, which replaces all the tracks in the game with new ones.
3, 2, 1,
The Everdrive 64 has built-in Game Genie functionality, meaning that you can type cheat codes directly into the device without needing a physical Game Genie. What's even cooler is that you can just create a text file with all the Game Genie codes for a particular game in it, and then copy that text file to your SD card. You can then just turn each code on or off depending on which ones you want to use at any given time. This is way easier than entering the codes using your controller. The Everdrive 64 also has a built-in controller pack manager. This means that you can use the Everdrive to back up and restore the contents of the controller pack memory cards, similar in function to a DEX drive. The Everdrive 64 version 3 sells for $167, while the version 2.5 is still available for $99. In both cases, the addition of a needed NTSC CIC lockout chip and a cartridge shell will raise the price by $16, but it's well worth it. The real question is whether or not the increased cost of the version 3 over the version 2.5 is worth it to you, so let's go over the differences. Probably the most important upgrade to the Everdrive 64 involves saving game progress. With previous versions of the Everdrive 64, after saving your progress in a game, you had to reset the console before powering it off, or that save would be lost. This is no longer the case with the version 3, as it now saves your game right away, the same as it would if you were playing a regular cartridge. While the version 2 and 2.5 Everdrive 64s were advertised as being 99% compatible with the system's library, the version 3 is advertised as being near 100% compatible thanks to the added support for two games that are unplayable on previous versions: Pokemon Stadium 2 and Dobutsu no Mori, which is just the original Animal Crossing which was only released on the Nintendo 64 in Japan. The version 3 Everdrive also eliminates the need to apply compatibility patches to Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong 64, Jet Force Gemini, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Speaking of Animal Crossing, it is the one and only reason that the version 3 Everdrive 64 comes with a built-in real-time clock. An optional feature on some other Everdrive models, the version 3 Everdrive 64 comes standard with a USB port, which is a handy feature for developers who need to constantly transfer data to the Everdrive for testing purposes. Because the use of this port requires special loading software, you can't simply plug your Everdrive into your computer and have it recognized as an external drive. No matter which of the two currently available Everdrive 64 products you choose, you won't be disappointed. Even if you collect and play Nintendo 64 cartridges, this product is indispensable as a matter of convenience, a means of trying before you buy, and as a means of playing ROM hacks and homebrew games.
Welcome to Mario Kart!
That's going to do it for this episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly TV. If there are any topics you'd like to see covered on the show, please let me know. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.